NB is a website that lets you and your classmate jot notes in the margins of PDF documents. Let's start with the following demo. Ben Biddiddle is a sophomore who's registered for 6042, the class that uses NB. At the beginning of the term, he receives an email inviting him to join the NB channel for 6042. To accept it, he simply clicks the link found in the invitation. This takes him straight to his personalized NB homepage. From his homepage, Ben can see the available lecture note for all his classes. He can also monitor replies to his questions and get a feel of what his classmates have been writing. But for now, we'll start with a simple and common scenario. In the same way he'd do with a PDF printout, Ben opens his lecture notes for the coming lecture and the PDF shows up. At first sight, it looks like a regular PDF, but if you look more closely, you'll notice that it's annotated. Ben can read it in the same way he would read a regular PDF and look at the comments along the way. As he reads along, the relevant comments are highlighted. Now Ben comes across something that he doesn't understand. Let's say he doesn't know what an AEXP is. He's a bit stuck and he can't continue reading until he gets some help. How would we proceed with traditional tools? Well, he could simply email the TA, but he would have to provide some context information, such as the page number or the chapter number, or do a copy and paste. He could also take a note to himself and keep it for the next recitation or for after lecture. As a last resort, he could visit the class forum and realize that no one uses it. All these are far from optimal, and we'll see why shortly. Instead, Ben can just write his question in place. He drags his mouse across the region he has a question about, types his question, and sends it. Immediately, other students can see his question and reply to it. This is because his question is visible by the whole class. As long as anybody hasn't posted a reply on that question, he can change his mind and edit it. For instance, marking it as staff would prevent other students from seeing it, so that only staff members and himself can see the question. But that's not what he wants, since he'll probably get an answer much faster if the whole class can see it. Marking a note as myself would let him write a note that neither staff nor other students can see. He can use that option to write personal annotations on the lecture note, or draft that he doesn't want to be published yet. Finally, Ben can optionally sign his post so that other students will see who wrote it. Meanwhile, another student, Lewis, is reading his notes, and he realizes that he doesn't know what an AEXP is either. Instead of replying to that question and saying something like, "I don't know either," what he can do is vote for that question, which means that he would be interested in seeing an answer to that question. Letting students vote for questions is a powerful way to rank these questions, so that when Steven, the TA, looks at the new notes from students, the most popular question will show up first, and he will most likely reply to them first. But the same is true about other students. Elisa is a 6042 student who wants to see the latest question that her classmates have asked. She's wondering if she'll know the answer. Since both Ben and Lewis have voted for the same question, it's relatively well ranked, so that Elisa sees it quickly. She writes an answer, and therefore fulfills part of her reading assignment. She also helps Ben and Lewis understand the material. Now guess what happens for Ben or Lewis? They are notified that there's been a reply to that question, and they can see it immediately. Let's take a closer look at our previous scenario. By using NB rather than traditional tools, we've created a situation where everyone wins. Ben and Lewis can continue reading their lecture notes. They're not stuck anymore. The same is true about any other students who will read this later. Moreover, students looking for explanations can see different points of view and choose the one that makes them understand things best. Everyone can confirm their IDs and learn in a more active style, which makes learning more effective. Unlike emails or forums, since annotations are preserved with their context, students won't have to search where the answer is when they get stuck again. For instance, when they're reviewing for the final. Alicia was able to participate actively, therefore making her more confident about the material that she has read. This in turn reduced the workload for Steven, the TA, who now has more time to focus on more difficult questions. And he doesn't have to explain the same answer over and over for each student that has the same question, since the answer is visible to anyone. Finally, by looking at the question and their popularity, the lecturer, Professor Smith, can know what points need to be clarified and maybe allocate some time to review them during lecture or office hours. He can also be pointed possible mistakes in the lecture note and correct them. We've only scratched the surface of how people can use NB, and we've been adding features on a regular basis, but we hope that that short demo gave you a good overview of why it makes sense to use NB. For more information, please visit our website at http://nb.csale.mit.edu. Happy annotating with NB!